Okay, let's get this party going. Um, what are we doing today? I am going back to working on my database stuff, and I need to just set up my computer. I just came back from getting an allergy shot, which is always fun. Um, so what I want to do is give me a second to just organize myself, and then what I was working on this morning, um, and I'll just move everything over here. Oops, come on, give me. Now all of a sudden, just want to give me the thing. Here we go. I was working back on my database stuff. Let me close up these other tabs. This I can leave. This I can get rid of, and I'll just close that out. Okay. Um, Let's put this here. Actually, we should put this one here. The fun of organizing all my tabs. Okay, so where we left off in this mess that I was working on, yeah, so Lumdari was a complete failure. That sucked. But I'm going to go back to some of this other stuff here that I know will help me in the future. So let's dive into this. So where I left off was that I wish I could just put this over here and expand this out. Trying to figure out the perfect vibe coding layout here. Okay, so where I left off was that I am trying to set up a config so that I can have lovable apps talk to my own database. And if I think, let me see if I'm running this right now. Actually, I don't even need to see this. We can just focus on this file. All right, so I'm running the database, and now if I run connect, it should connect to the database and activate the table and do this little testing note app that I've written. And the goal of this project really is to build out something where I can just have a sample project that will easily connect to a simple MySQL database that I'm self-hosting. So if I want to do this on Lovable or whatever these online vibe coding products are, I can at least have my own database. Because over the weekend when I did Lumdari, I set up another Superbase database, and it's just costing me money because that project went nowhere and it's just a waste. And I ideate a lot, so I want to make sure I have something that I can just quickly spin up, not be paying a fortune for, and then spin down when I'm done with. So let me see here. What I was dealing with before all this, I guess I can't make that any smaller, but that's fine, was that I'm trying to get this to generate out the code I need for my Terraform template, but I wanted it to be more dynamic. So the public URL needs to be based on the project name, the public project URL, which is coder username project name dot weekendcodeproject.com. What else did I want to make dynamic here? So the I don't know if I really need to change this database, and the username should always stay the same. Let me go back into my template here. Wait, where? Here we go. Let's go into this workspace. Wow, this whole UI just crushes itself. Wait, I go to, oh, here we go, parameters. So, okay, so we have a coder password. So the password's the only thing that's going to change. the DB name and DB, the DB name is the workspace. Let me fix this here. Workspace. This is the workspace name. The DB name and I guess that's the only other thing. And then user. No, it's DB user. DB user, DB name, admin, email should all be part of the initial config setup using the values from the Terraform template. All right, let's see if we can rewrite this real quick. But what I'm hoping is that I can just get this template working. I finally figured out a hack for the problem I was running into. I was trying to define the URL, and I just realized that I could just tell the core's origin to be true, and it'll just let anything connect to it. So now it's only as good as the security of my database. You should also have it generate out some sort of secret key. And I want to figure out, I want to just make sure that there isn't anything else that needs to be done here. All right, so this will set up the initial database, and then this thing will change DB name. Wait, what the hell did it do? This creates a full config in the first row with static values. No. All right, forget it. You know, this is where I start losing my patience. Let's just copy this over, and I'm just going to do this by hand because it clearly doesn't want to play nice today. So what we're looking for is this init config, and it's going to go all the way down to, I believe it ends with this config JSON. Yeah, right, config JSON output. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to paste this in here, and what I want to do is, I need a little bit more room. This is not working how I want it to. This resolution is just way too low. Let me see if I can just reduce this for a little bit so I can actually see what I'm doing here. All right, so the things that I wanted to do that it's always going to have when it first creates the initial config is it needs the host. The port is always going to be the same. The DB client service true. Cores enables true. All this stuff is true. Cores credentials true. Let me say, should I reduce the token time, and can this generate out a random secret? Just show me those fixes. I think actually what I want to do, I'm probably gonna have to open up ChatGPT in this tab. This is just too much. This is too much going on here. All right, so credentials fine. DB port hard coded. The database fine. The user password. The email. All right, so what I want to do is I want to get rid of this DB password. This admin password we're going to get rid of. The public URL is always going to be, actually, we should move the public URL into the dynamic update. Basically what's happening is here, we're using this thing called JQ, And whenever we restart the workspace, we don't want to have it regenerate out the entire config, especially if you've gone in and you've made changes. So this top part here is the default configuration that I set up for whatever this thing is called, Directus. And then this JQ thing is going to pull any dynamic values that we need out of it. So for like example, this DB host and this port, these are always going to be the same. So we don't need this or this. We don't need the DB port. This should automatically be set up here. We want the DB name to be based on the workspace. And this is where we're starting to get into like a weird issue. Let me add this up here too. While we do this, we'll put this before the cat, which will give us this random seed, and then we can set that back down here. The other things I want to do is the public URL. I feel like the public URL is always going to change, or could change based on. How do I want to do this? Let's see. If the workspace changes, what will happen to these config values? Should we treat the public URL as dynamic, but make the DB name a coder property? All right, let me see what else there is in here. The DB user is always going to be static because only one user can create a template. The DB password will be dynamic. The DB name we're working on right now. The admin email will always be static. Which is this whole thing. And then, what else? So it's basically we're just passing the password, the DB password, and the DB name. Renaming the workspace won't update a static config file once it's generated. It's best to keep the DB names as a fixed property while treating the public URL as a dynamic if needed. All right. How can I let the user name the DB when creating a new coder workspace? Is there a way of having a static, editable property on creation, but make it static after, so it can't be changed? All right, let it figure out that stuff, and then did it answer my? Should I reduce the token time? It reasoned, but what did it do? User has to reduce the token time generated. I'll set access token to a shorter value, like 5 minutes. For generating a random secret, I'll open up. All right, I don't want to make this 5. Wait, okay, I see. I wonder what this access token does versus refresh token. My assumption, yes, let's use set of creation. No. How? I was actually playing with a Claude this morning, and it does seem a little bit better than ChatGPT. I don't know, ChatGPT's gone downhill. Also, to make some more space, let's just do this real quick here. And we'll put this over here. Come on, just snap. Where's my... It's like so eager to snap things, but then it doesn't want to show me this snap. There we go. All right. Now I feel like I can breathe again. You can prompt the DB during the workspace creation, store it in an initial config, then hide or lock that. Oh God, you're so stupid today. I can't take it. All right, so let's just double check this stuff real quick here. I actually want to ask it the difference between these two. What are the differences between these two, and should I change it to 5 minutes and 1 day? I'm kind of curious because I think my assumption is the access token is basically when you go to request a token, how long you have before it times out. And then the refresh token is how many days until you have to relog back into the app. Does it remain valid? Typically it's a short-lived, such as 5 minutes, 15 minutes. All right. So why don't we do that? I don't even need it to answer that. That's all. I just needed to confirm. And we'll make this 1 day. Refresh token secure, token for site, whatever. I don't want to change any of that stuff. So okay, so now what we're going to do is, how about this? I think the thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the database always static. So once it's created, it's not going to change. Admin password. I see, this DB password. Wait, let's get rid of this in this database. So right now, the only thing that's going to really change is, oops, wait, what did I delete? No, I just want to delete this DB name. DB name. Admin password is going to be the same admin password, which, where does that come from? Oh, I guess these arguments is what set it up, right? So this is coming from the coder password value. Fine, export path. All right, let's see. Does this look correct? The only dynamic value that should change is if the user changes the password. I don't want to like expose a ton of stuff now to the template because I just want it to be sort of let you just click and build it out. I think if I really want to go in here and start tweaking any of these config values, I would just go in by hand to do it. I don't need it all dynamic in the template. Yes, it looks correct. The initial file sets static properties and the JQ only changes the password so they change. All right, perfect. Now I want 2 more changes. Can you help me make the VS Code editor open in a new tab instead of its own window, and I want to change the coder password label to project or database password. Lastly, I want to, what was the other thing that I wanted to do here? I wanted to create a button to load the admin panel. It should go to coder user workspace dot weekend code project com. And let me just double check this here. I think it goes to, yeah, if you just go here, if you just go to that root, it'll just, here is the full, here's the full Terraform template for context. All right, let's let that think for a second. Sorry, I was just getting, it's funny, like every time I do a stream, I get these like, these spam bots from Streambo, but I don't know if I see the actual. Let me pull this off here so I can see it off screen. Twitch. I wonder if it actually makes a real comment. Yeah, here we go. I want to. How do I ban a person? All right. Bans that person. Okay, so let's see. Where are we now? All right, so update the code parameter to change the label. So it says coder password. We're just going to call this project password or database. Database project sets a unique password for this database, for the database, and admin. All right, these two will be the same. In the VS Code app, add a target. Let me see where code server is. Oops, code server. All right, let's see. So we have the code server here. It just basically wants me to create a target blank. Opens in a new browser tab. That's what I wanted. And then create a new app button for the admin panel. And then we'll put this here. And I think that's everything now. So, okay, let's try to build. This is V37, so we need V38, assuming this actually, you know, of course it. I knew this is something that's gonna not work. I'll just, ChatGPT is just terrible. I need to stop using it, honestly. Like, I think I'm just done paying for it until it actually gets its act together. Let me see if I can just search for this instead. Writing template from scratch. So subdomain false URL. You can also use a coder app resource to link to an external app, such as links to wikis, cloud, whatever. Persistent and ephemeral resources. Set a Docker container. Share. false URL slug agent. Remove the unsupported target. How do I open up a coder instance? My target is using the create a template encoder. Add the template file. I want to see the coder documentation. Coder documentation for code server. Let's see if it'll. Setup and configuration guide. Let's see if I just give it the docs. All right, you read the docs and tell me what I need to do. And I think this only talks about the local setup of it, not the here we go. Coder agent dev, install start coder, right? And then we have agent share, how check your our official code server module is in the module repository. Examples, pre-install extension, install the Dracula theme. Oh, that's interesting. Configure the, you know, it's funny, I have a whole bunch of settings that I do ahead of time. I should actually just move this stuff, install multiple extensions, offline, and use cached modes. Run an existing copy of cache server if found, otherwise download from GitHub. Just run code server in the background. Actually, this is interesting. Variables, auto install, prefix, log offline. Select subdomain, use cache use. Further readme, apps, source, variable. All right, anything in here? I guess while I'm doing this, I might as well just update the coder stuff. Yeah, what I would like to do while I'm at this is I might as well move some of this stuff that I have in here that sort of hard codes and sets up these extensions and everything. And maybe instead of dealing with this, building up the setting, I can just move it into this like it's supposed to be. I didn't even read all the full documentation on this stuff, but let's do this. Let's remove this tab for a second here. Let me see. Try setting the app to use its own subdomain in the Terraform config. Change or override the value. Why is it doing var agent ID, var slug? Let me see in the documentation what it says for the determines whether the app will access via its own subdomain or whether it will be accessible via a path on coder. If wildcards have not been set up by the administrator, then the apps with subdomain says it will be accessible. Use cache. Tab. Window. Open. The folder to open in code server. Install prefix. the prefix to install code server 2, the version of code server to install, the path to log, just run code server in the background. The order determines the position of the app in the UI presentation. The lower the order, right. The port to run code server on a map of settings to apply. Slug determines whether the app will be accessible via its own subdomain. I thought that there was a way to like actually fix this, but let's do this. I want to test out real quick that this template works, and then I'll go and deal with the Visual Studio Code stuff, or the code server stuff. I don't remember. I think it's 38 is the version I need to build. So technically, if this works, publish v38. We'll create a new workspace. We're going to call this SQL test 38. I have my password. I can change this Docker image if I really need to, but we're going to keep it like this. We'll run this, and now this should set up a whole new database. And without touching anything else, once this is done installing and configuring correctly, all I need to do now is I should be able to go over to Lovable, refresh this. We'll change this to 8, and let's wait for this to finish installing. Let's see if, not code server icons, I want coder icons. Oh yeah, it doesn't like that. Coder resource icons. Bundled icons. We can always go to coder icons. Yeah, that's what it was. All right, I want to fix, I already saw that the icon is busted here, but error DB password environment variable is missing. Let's go into code server for a second, and let's take a look and see what it actually did here. Config JSON. Database, DB database, DB username. So it doesn't look like it did this correctly. So let me do this real quick. I want to. Okay, we'll come back to this. I'm having an issue with the table, the config, not creating the password correctly. I'm also seeing a config temp file that should have been deleted, but may be there from the error. How can show me the code to fix this? All right, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to my template, and let's go to source. Let's go here, and we're going to give it this entire startup script. And see what it has to say for itself. All right, I should actually just switch over to the 4.5 so it's a little bit faster. All right, the user seems to have trouble. Okay, it seems like the problem is that the password isn't being set correctly in the config. The part. Um, where is the thing that I wanted to send? All right. Let's see if it fixes this. I guess it needed to be set up originally. No, it's not in here. Okay, let's fix this right here. I just need to find where it needs to go. It starts at if. All right. We'll paste this and let's do build 39. All right, this will be SQL test 39. Oh, I should have fixed this icon, but whatever. Nothing was running, so it didn't really matter anyways. So my goal is that once if I can clean up this template, get this actually working nicely, then I will, what I'll do is I'm going to start moving, I want to go over to an old project I was working on in Lovable and see if I can get it to switch over to this database and test this whole thing out. But I just have not been having a lot of luck with this lately. All right, good. Let's see. This worked. Let's do the admin panel. I don't know why it still defers to this. All right, we'll look at that in a minute. I've noticed this problem before too. But all right, right now 39 is working. So let's go here. Or 39 is up and running. Let's do this. We'll connect and success. Perfect. All right, so at least we got that part working, and that's really the biggest issue I've been having. All right, 2 issues. The link to the database admin panel is wrong. Why does it keep resolving to this when it should be coder SQL test. Oh, is this 139? Let's do this. Also, and I need to find an icon for it. You don't have like a lot of good icons. We'll just use this. And the icon should be, we'll just make it desktop. And then I want to go back in here to the docs. This is run VS Code in the machine. They have this place with all their modules, right? Here, let me duplicate this. We'll come back to that one in a minute. But I want back to modules. Coder login automatically logs the user and the coder into their workspace. Node.js, Jupyter. I was trying to see if there's anything in here for. Oh, it's this one. Run Claude Coder as a standalone app in your workspace. This will install Claude Code and run it directly without using screen or any task reporting on the UI. I don't even know what code. I don't know what Claude Coder is. Claude Code overview. It's an coding tool that lives in your terminal, understands your code base, and helps you code faster. Before you begin, check your system requirements. Sure, install and authenticate. Run core features and workflow. Claude Coder opens directly in your terminal, understands your code. No need to manually add files. We'll explore your code base as needed. Initializing your project. Use Claude Code for common tasks. Edit code intelligently. And for workflow, Claude Code comes with a non-interactive mode for headless executions. Non-interactive context like script pipelines. Manage Claude's memory. Quickly add memories with the pound shortcut. Is there a GUI for this? Nuclear interactives with tools that can manipulate a computer's desktop environment. All right, I have to like go through. This has been on my list to go through some other one of these like AI things. So let me fix this problem first, then we'll go down that rabbit hole next. Duplicate. All right, so I'm not seeing where are the templates for. Docker Azure. It's Code Workspace. This is something else I might be interested in doing. Coder supports dev containers via. Alright, this is a bit of a rabbit hole. Let me try this another way. I want to go back through, and in the templates, I want to see source, admin. Well, actually, it should be coder. This admin panel. Coder agent, admin panel, display name, admin panel, the icon. I can just fix this one. This going to be desktop. I don't know. Let me see if I could find something for. Coder. Coder resource documentation. Resource monitoring, metadata, persistence variable modules, Terraform modules. Outputs such as helper scripts, dot files, Vault, GitHub, code server, VS Code web, fine. IDEs and coder application, Docker and workspaces, workspace provisioning, agent metadata. How to create custom links for coder projects. This probably isn't going to open encoder. Let me see what this template does. Workspace template allows you to define and create a new workspace using workspace template. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if there's anything in here for. Nope. Workspace management. Nope. This isn't what I want either. Managing templates. Change management. Providers, fine. Extending the template. Build parameters, fine. Icons. Resource metadata. Resource monitoring, resource ordering, resource persistence, Terraform variables, Terraform module, web ID encoder. Xcode Web, Jupyter Notebooks, Jupyter Lab, blah, blah, blah. Where is workspace tags? Provide authentication, process logging, open encoder. Yeah, I don't, it's weird, I don't see anything. Let's, let's see if at least ChatGPT can help with figuring this part out, and then we'll move on. I've not been able to get, I don't, like, to me it's weird, like, I don't know why this URL doesn't actually change to what it needs to be. Because there's no, like, I don't know, like, why it's just randomly generating stuff. While it does this, I'm going to start up another instance, and I need your help cleaning up my coder template so I can move all my VS Code setup into the right place. Here is the documentation on what I can do, and after you've read this, I'll share my template. Was this the, this is Claude Coder, code server, multiple extensions, pre-configure settings, yeah. Oops, no, I want this. All right, so change the subdomain flag to true. For example, let's do this here. We'll move, it's saying set the subdomain flag to true. All right, I'm gonna just run a quick build and see if this actually works. V39, we're at V39. Nope, it's V40. All right, let's create a new workspace. Oh no, actually I don't need to create a new workspace. I'm just gonna update the existing workspace. Where was 39? SQL test. I gotta do some housekeeping later. Let's update this Terraform template and just see if it fixes this button here. And all right, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get your current template. So let's come here. I want to move the setting, the VS Code settings and extensions into the module instead of hard coding it into the startup like I currently am. All right, let's see what it says. To cleanly move your VS Code extensions to the module, remove this section, provision or local exec, and then add this block anywhere in your code. Extensions, workspace extensions. You just move the list of extensions into the module. And I want to use the latest version. Well, it refreshed it, but this admin panel didn't work. And this link doesn't work either. Why is this part so hard to do? Let me see if there's someone else who has admin panel. What I want to do is wait, let me see if I can get the documentation on coder resource. Oh, you know, and I have ChatGPT doing the wrong thing. Sorry. I want this to be a coder resource. And I want to look for custom URL for resource coder app. Write a template from scratch. Set up the template providers, find coder agent. Fine. Coder app. A coder app resources lets the developer use an app from the workspace coder dashboard. Such as links to wikis or cloud. You can also use a coder app resource to link to external apps. Oh, interesting. I think this is what I was doing in the past. Let me see. Shouldn't we do... This doesn't give me a list of all the emojis. Where to find coder emojis? Yeah, I knew that was going to be too generic of a search. Yes, you can mark it as an external so the URL isn't rewritten. For example, fine. Let's replace this here. Wait, isn't this what I... I feel like this is what I already have. So what's the difference between this and that? External URL slug display name external true. I don't need this. And the icon Yeah, I wonder what, does this actually work like this? Coder, or code slash, hey, look at that. How do I figure out the coder supported coder icon emojis? Let's see what these supported icons are. Coder icons. What about emojis? Metadata script app options. Fine. It's funny. It talks about using an emoji, but doesn't show me what the codes are for the emojis. Do you know where I can find a list of valid emojis? I don't know why I always get hung up on these like little details, but like to me, even though this is my own dev environment, like I want it to look right and I want it to function really nice. You can check out the Emojipedia or the Uni chart. Is that what it is? This is 1FDD. I guess that's what it was, huh? One F, let's just do U plus 1FDD. All right, we'll just try a different approach. Let me see if there's a, sure, let's just do this one. I just want to see if this actually works. Yeah, it must be an existing UUID username. No, that's not it. F9911. That doesn't work. Emojipedia. I like how this is like not in the docs. Huh. Results for this. So where does that come from? Technical information. 1F4DD. All right. So admin code. All right, let's just try one of these emojis then. Technical information. And huh. All right, that worked. So computer dash database admin. I'm just trying to see if there's an emoji that would actually be better than what I was already using. These are all flags. I don't want flags. I don't care about this. Symbols. I guess none of this stuff matters. Objects. Oh, this is such a stupid rabbit hole I'm down. Now I'm just morbidly curious than anything. what would I want to use for the right, what is the right emoji for an admin panel? I'm just going to leave it as is. I don't really care. What I really care more about is I've changed this now. I don't want it to be this emoji. I want it to be I think it's icons. Let's see if this will work. Coder. Icon. Desktop. All right, so that should work. All right, so I think the biggest change was that it's now set to external and there's no owner to it. And let's see if it'll actually resolve this URL correctly. We're going to call this v41 build v41. We'll publish that and we'll go back to our project here. Let's update the Terraform template and see if this works. All right, and like this didn't find the correct image, which is so weird to me. It should inspect. Whatever, I'll look at that in a second. I want to see if this actually works. Oh, finally. Okay. All right, so all I gotta do is just figure out how to fix that stupid icon. Which I feel like, oh, I left it as icons because I'm an idiot. Icon desktop. Let's do this while we're at it. I was already working on module coder register. No, God, you are just the worst today. Where's my template? Here's code server. I want you to move all of this into this according to the docs. Hey. All right. Let's see here. I gotta stand. My back's like killing me. The joys of sitting down all weekend trying to do Lonam Dare. So into this according to the docs. Whoops. All right, there's a bunch of stuff that I want to pull out now from this template. And a lot of it just revolved around where are these extensions, workspace extensions. And the settings are going to be, let me just open up code server. Oops, stop this. Tab size 2 and this. All right. Icon. All right, let's see what it came back with. Module code service source. Agent find extensions, settings. Perfect. The Coder app doesn't, Coder app resource doesn't support settings or extensions. Those go in the module. Here's the correct usage. Keep Coder app as is to explode code server. Wait, where does the module go? All right. Let's see here. Place the module coder block anywhere after the code. Put it right before or after the code server resource for clarity. All right, so I can add this module. Fine. I guess this is just going to pull. I guess this module will configure this. And let me look back at the where did my icons go? See if we can find an icon that actually I have used this before. Let me find an icon that I can use to let's just see if memory works. Or actually, if I copy out this desktop and I come back into here and I paste it, what is it going to give me? Gives me the same thing, huh? Let's see if I can just use this for a second. Sure, whatever. Oh, hey, a comment. Are you coding in browser? Mike is too quiet, huh? I was trying to cut out some of the background noise. Is that a little bit better? I guess I've been talking to myself all weekend, so I didn't really check my mic levels. I am coding in the browser, yes. So what I'm doing is I'm working on, this is something called Coder, and it's a thing to orchestrate Docker containers and set up dev environments. Basically, I have my own dev environment running on my own local server. So I'm just trying to tweak it and customize it. And now I'm just sort of stuck on some little minor things of just setting up like some icons. So when you go and create a project, I'm trying to fix this little icon, but this is basically a running database that I can use to connect other projects to. So, and I was just configuring, it's basically called Code Server to let you use Visual Studio Code in the browser. So let me rebuild this. We'll make this version v42. And then I think if I can get enough of this working, oh wait, here we failed. What failed? Error during the build. The template import provisioner start duplicate app slug. There must be a unique. Interesting. All right. Let me go back and tell it what the hell's going on here. I am getting this error. Right now what I was trying to do is I was trying to get it to where I can set up Visual Code or Code Studio to have all the extensions and everything I need, because I'm doing some sort of like hacky way around it right now. Is this wrong? I bet you it probably just needs, the module probably needs a unique name. Yes, this is the issue. The code server module already creates the app, so your coder underscore app code server is duplicate. Delete the block code server, or coder app code server. Wait, what about the URL and health? Is that also auto-generated, or I need to define it in the module? All right. Both URL and health check are auto-configured by the module. You don't need to define them. It just works. Nothing ever just works. But fine. All right. So this is code server. We're going to delete this. This module will now create it. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure I get rid of this stuff here. So this make directory, I'm writing all this stuff by hand. This is the end of, let's delete this. And we can delete the extensions. All this stuff was echo workspace settings. Okay, cool. We don't need to do anything here in this provisioner anymore. I'm just going to leave this empty. Because I might need to do something else. Put anything in here. All right, so let's rebuild this now. And it should be v42. All right. Cleaning up, everything's good. Publish v42. And now we'll come back here. We'll update this template for this workspace. And let's see if these changes actually work. Hey, look, I got a link. I got the admin panel. My code server is there. Let's let this thing load everything up. And then I will go and test out the things I want to test out is that I also want to make sure that I have not broken my database connection. So this is still on 39. So I can access this. I'll just update this to 39. Basically, this is a simple project I created in Lovable, which is one of these AI editor programs online. And what I can do is I just created the bare minimum for it to connect. What it wants to do, there's a built-in way that you can use Superbase, but it costs a lot of money. And when you're doing like lots of projects like I've been experimenting with. So what this is going to do is I'm trying to get this to I'm trying to get it to where I can host my own databases and have this remotely connect. So I was dealing with a whole bunch of cross-domain CORS issues and all kinds of other fun stuff that I hate dealing with backend stuff. Okay, cool. We'll open up code, Visual Studio Code, and did it? Oh, look, it actually, this is so much better than how I was doing it before. It's now automatically installed these plugins for me, so they're no longer default plugins. And oh, I see. The problem is that it didn't do the default folder. Let me test this admin panel. So the admin panel should now log into Directus. Perfect. That's working. All right, I think I'm almost here. So I'm almost done with this. And maybe I can just move this over to my other, I'll move these changes over to my other Docker container. But what I want to do is code server. Let me go back into docs here. Well, actually, I'll just ask it. What about changing the name and setting up the default path to /workspace? All right, use these in the module. Perfect. Put this here, and we're just going to call this. Whoops! What the hell just happened there? Oh, I hit everything. We're going to call this code server. Code server and workspace. So we'll do one more build, v43, and that should be it for this. The whole reason why I'm like spending way too much time on these like little details outside of I just want my code environment to be right, v43, is that I'm going to do a whole sort of like ebook about how to set up your own dev environment on your own local server that'll let you access it from anywhere, plus it'll give you AI tools and stuff like that. So let me update this, update the workspace, and then yeah, that should be it. Race Peace Day. I don't know if you're still still watching, but is the background noise when I'm not talking loud? Because I'm literally in a closet with a fan above me. I haven't had a chance to really go through and clean up my audio. I've just been more interested in trying to get some of this code stuff up and running first before I perfect my stream again. All right, this is looking good. We open up code server. We have these things installed. Although I wonder why the other thing. Oh, I see. Markdown editor. This stuff. Okay, this is all good. Installed. The admin panel is good. Oh, the only thing I forgot to look at the code server was that perfect. It's now loading up into the root. The config is working correctly. And all right, this is actually good to go. Let me hide some of this crap for right now. Well, I like this a lot better. Oh, I'm gonna look at the Claude coding thing later. But now I can install. So for this template, it really doesn't matter because this template is really just for setting up a database. Let me go back here and make sure that I can still connect. Perfect. I'm able to connect to it. And we'll do one last test. So I'm on 43. Let's go back to workspace. We'll create a new template. And we're going to call this SQL test 43. We'll create the, and of course this didn't work. Son of a, put anything in here. Oh, I guess it really didn't like that. Coder agent main. Oh, is it supposed to be like a pound or something like that? Ugh, templates. Source code. Where was my provisioning stuff? Provisioner. I think this is a shell script. It's pound. Yeah. Or hash or whatever. Not dash. Put anything. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to delete this. We don't need it. The best thing we can do is just minimize these things so there's less places for it to fail. Okay. Let me build this. We'll call this V43. Was that what it was? I wasn't paying attention. V43. 44. It's funny because like last week when I started actually doing this on the live stream, I thought I was going to have it done by V20, but I'm well over that. 39. Let's go to the other workspace. Well, we'll just create a new one. And this was what? V44 SQL test 44. We'll create this. And now, let's see. Let's have this whole thing run. And then what I'll do is I'll take a minute to just do a little bit of house cleaning. And then I'll get back into a little bit more. I want to see if I can actually get Lovable now to connect an existing project over to my own database. And that should that should get me outside of, that should get me off of needing to use Superbase, or at least my Superbase dependency. I don't mind using Superbase if I'm going to push to prod, but doing all this stuff for like local testing is such a pain in the butt. All right, that fixed the problem. Our VS Code is working correctly. We have our plugins installed. We're good to go there. We have the admin panel now, and this is perfect. So now the final test is, let's go back over to this. We'll refresh this, change this to, what was it, 44? 44, yep. And hit connect. And we can connect. Perfect. All right. I now have a working database template in Terraform. Perfect. Okay. We'll come back to this one later. Although I do want to actually, in the templates, I want to pull out the source code. Let me do this here. I want to go back to this other template. I have two other templates that I wanted to leverage here. Some of the changes that I made. And where is the VS Coder or code server? Perfect. Module code server. I want this module. Oops. And I want this admin panel. And let's go back now into my node template. And what we're going to do is remove all the stuff that I don't need anymore. So these work extensions, oh, I think these are the same one. Git lens, yeah, okay, these are fine. Let's delete all these extensions. Then let's delete the provisioner, because I don't think this is just doing the VS Code stuff, extensions. Yeah, we don't need the provisioner anymore. And then we'll replace the code server with this. And then I just am going to copy out some of this stuff here. So this is external. True. We don't need this. We can delete this. And I think everything else should be the same here. We're just calling this one preview because now this is 45 build. We'll call this one V46. V46. And we're going to create a workspace. We're going to call this node test 46. And as you can see here, we can define Docker image used for the container. That's weird. Why is that here when I'm actually doing it up here? Make public true. Something's up with this template. All right, I'm going to come back and I'll fix this. I just want to see if this actually works. So let's create this workspace now. Yeah, error from creating daemon amount bind source doesn't exist. Workspace node. I think I screwed up something. I think I need to keep some of that provisioning stuff. Hold on, let me go and test a few things here. Let me see right now. Code. What was it called? Node test 46. It failed, so we're not going to be able to do anything with that. Let's save these two things, and I'm going to go back to the provisioning and see what I screwed up by removing the provisioning. All right, the extension's fine. What is the provisioning doing here that I don't? Ensure the workspace, VS Code, then settings. Workspace, extension, recommended, join, configure. Let's see if I just delete all this, if this works. And then here we're going to replace these two things with the code server and the preview. All this stuff is correct. This is 46 build. We'll publish this to 47. V47. But let's just go back and we'll update this to see if this will actually run now. Nope. Invalid config. The resource Docker container. Host mount users NAS. Why is this not being created? Oh my god. It's like, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me do this. Let me go back to, oops. Let me go back to another template and just make sure there isn't something that's just screwing up on my active template. Let's see, version. This I think was the last version that worked. So let's create a workspace from this 45, 45A. Node, oops, node test 45A. We'll build this out. All right, if 45A works, great. 45A works, perfect. Let's go back in. Let's go to versions, 45, and I'm going to modify this version instead. So let's edit this, and what I'll do is I'm going to, let's just start a little slower this time. Let's replace these two things. This is the part that like I don't like about having to deal with Terraform. Is like, at least in this environment, is like I have to like try to get it working, then recompile it, try to get it working again, and I'm just building out all these different versions, but it's a lot of trial and error. Let's build this out and see if code server, well, yeah, okay. Let's do this. I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this and this. I don't know why this is here. All right, let's see if these two things fix this problem. And I think we were at 46. V46. Actually, this was V45. We're going to call this V45B. Publish. And did I promote that one? Yes. Okay, that one's promoted. Let's go back to workspaces 45A, and we're just going to update this. All right, so we have our code server, we have preview. All right, something broke. What broke? Cannot stat child tar make directory. So code server didn't install correctly, but preview did. And ls cd / workspace ls. So is this Jesse Freeman? Change me. Yeah, that didn't work either. Huh. The workspace is running, but one. Wonder what is screwing up. Let me look at the full logs real quick. I don't know if I want to start a new chat. We'll just do what? Actually, we'll just keep this. I do want to keep these chats sort of self-contained. So, what is failing here? Let me see if it finds anything that's failing, and then I want to. Nothing's failing. That log shows successful. you're seeing, maybe this was just a weird, let me restart this. Yeah, I think there's something, I think something is wrong here when I create. Huh. It stops here and won't start up code server. Hold on a second. This is going to be a prank call, not a prank call, a spam call. It's hanging during the code server installed because the module is downloading. I wish there was a way to. If there are calls, I don't ever check my voicemail, and I think, well, I've been told that my mailbox is full, so I'm just trying to make some space by deleting a bunch of voice. Who even leaves voicemails anymore with texting? And it's a shame there's no like delete all. Whatever. I just have like 50 voicemails. We'll deal with that later. It is a future Jesse problem. It's hanging during the code server installation because the module is downloading and installing it inside the container, and it's likely not finishing or failing something. Use cache true on your module to skip download every time. Try that and let me know. Why is it failing here, but works in this template? The issue in your first template is that you're manually installing and running code server in the startup. That's what it is. And also using the code mod. There's the conflict. Remove this from your code agent. Okay. Yes. Did I not remove? I thought did I remove that from here too? No, look at this. This does it too. Whatever. Okay, that's fine though. It's a good call out. I need to just go fix this thing here. So let me go find where's the code server install. Code server. All right, install code server. Is there somewhere here where I start this code server stuff too? Yeah, start code server. And remove that. Okay, let me remove this too. Let me remove the that list of. I think I already did it though. Okay, yeah, I already removed that list of plugins. All right. Why am I on 47? I'm like losing track because I have too many tabs open. Let me try to build a new version of 48 and see if that works, and then I'll get myself more organized instead of just throwing stuff all around and not paying attention. Build whoops, I don't want to build it again. V47, publish. V48. All right, let's create a new one. We'll call this SQL. Oh, sorry, this is node test 48. create a workspace. Let's see if this works correctly. All right, it's installing the extensions. Perfect. All right, it looks like we have a fully working thing. Let's now preview this, and we're going to do, this should be Jesse Freeman, change me. Why is this now failing? Template node. This is a check that I have to authorize you to be able to log into it. But what I'm not getting here is owner, name me, config, SSH, fine. Wait, let me go back into workspace. 40, it was node what? Node 48. Here, let's do this here. Let's just stop all this madness, and then I can be a little bit more organized here. Get rid of the orphan resources. Great. Workspace, node. Let's delete this one. We don't need this anymore. Delete. Node 43. Let's delete this one. Node 48. All right, so we're going to open up this. And what was I looking for now that I can't remember? Oh, I want to see in the code server, I want to see if it's actually getting the file, open file. If we go to the root, there should be a traffic auth. And this should be for node test 48. It should coder node test 48. Maybe I'm not looking at the right password. Settings, parameters. Ah, default password, that's why. Perfect. All right. So that means that now, if we come back to the workspace, node test 48, and we hit preview, we now are able to load this up. All right, this template is now working correctly. I want to fix this template though, because it's still doing all this code server installation stuff, which it shouldn't be doing. Or maybe it's not. There's only one instance of code server. Install code server. And I want to make sure it doesn't start up the code server. Code server. All right. There should only be one start. Start the database, we start Directus, we start that. Okay, this should be good to go too. And I'm going to build a new version of this. Build, that'll be V48. To make sure I didn't break anything. SQL test V48. Okay, we'll create a workspace for node test 48. Let's get this database going. So this should build itself out. And I noticed in this, I need to, where was that? There was like a node or Docker container. Image. Docker image used for the workspace container. We shouldn't have this duplicated like this. This actually needs to be rewired up for meta blocks. Where's the drop down menu for my Docker versions? Because that's what it should use. Preview, make public, app port, node version. So this should be node version, which for some reason I stopped using. Where is the Docker? Images. Should be node version value, I believe. And then image, I can get rid of this. And let me just ask ChatGPT for a sanity check. Is the node version correctly wired up? And then we have this 48. I've created a node test 48. I've also created a, wait, I'm confused. Let me go back to my workspace here. I'm assuming this is the one that I did incorrectly, but let me, whatever, we'll just run with it here. No, I want to, actually, let's see what happens when we change the name. Settings. Oh, I can't change the name. So, okay, I guess that solves that problem. Let me delete this and redo this again, because this is completely wrong, because my brain is trying to do multiple things at the same time. Workspace, create a new workspace. I want the database. The workspace name is going to be SQL test. I think it was 48. This should get up and running. It will install all the scripts and everything. This never that's usually you're passing the selected version. Okay, so I'm now doing this one correctly. So this is 48. Let's build this out. This will be V49. I think the problem is that the SQL and the node are at the same, very similar versions. V49. And let's create a new workspace. We're going to call this node, node test 49. Create this workspace. Ooh, look at this. Editor pulling image error says, oh, you know what? This is stupid of me. Let me go back to a really old version of this guy. Let me see Docker. Oh, I think this is too old of a version. Versions, sure, let's try 36. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. See, look, this is what I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing here. All right, let's do one thing at a time. Let's test this SQL. This should have already set up correctly. And this is going to be 48. So if we restart this now, 48, connect, perfect. All right, so now we can initialize the table, can I create the notes collection? Why am I getting an error that I can't create the, what was the error? The table. All right, let's put these two together because these are connected. Let's go here, and I'm going to go back to this template. I want to look for the node template. I want to look for versions. I want to look for an older version where I know I was using this version. That's weird. Where is my provisioner for node version? You know what? I must have screwed this up somewhere along the line. Let me go to this template, which is my older node one. I know this one is correct. It is a Docker resources, and it should have a node version here. I like dueling finds things here. Okay, here's why. It needs to be node this. All right, so now if I come back here, I go back to my templates, I go to this node workspace, I go to the source, I edit the source, and I go find where that version is being set in the Docker container. I think it looked like this, right? Yes. All right, so now, all right, this will let me, this is v49 build, publish v50, right? That was 49. v50, we'll publish this, and now we're going to create a node test 50, and we should have now, we've removed that other stuff. I can remove this application port stuff. We should be able to create this workspace and then get node version 22 out of it. And meanwhile, let's see, the issues that you're encountering is authenticating error when creating tables. Your application is successfully authenticated with a coder, but accesses like SQL different endpoints with the same token, which is not valid across. I've updated your code to ensure consistent API endpoint usage across all services. Adding more debug. All right, let's try this now, and we need to go, this is version 48. Let's connect. It's going to, collections failed. Let me hard refresh this. I think it has I think it might be a problem with .48. Let me clear this out, and then we'll see what the errors are. All right. When what is this error? Whoops, go back. Cool, what did I do? I don't want that. Let me go back to the console. I wanted to see this copy link address. Where is it trying to actually hit the endpoint to? 48. All right, I'm still getting an error. Is the command to create the table using the actual end point I enter and not the default value. All right. All right, let's see here now. So getting error, the command to create the table is using the actual endpoint I enter and not the default value. Are there any permission errors I might need to fix with Directus? Directus? I'm going to give it the actual, I'm going to give it the config file and see what it has to say for itself with this too. All right, let that do its thing. And now here I am on node test 50. This one was Jesse Freeman, and it should be default. Perfect. All right, that's working well now. So, okay, we're good. I think this template is good for now. Is there a way I can, like, I guess the only thing I can do is edit. Oh, I want to just rename it. Settings. Bad. All right. So now if I go to my workspace, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. SQL. And I'm just going to pull this out for a second here. And this way I can just focus on what needs to happen. So, all right, all these databases, I'm going to delete all this stuff. Delete. I think this one's, nope. Let's delete this one. Delete. We'll go back. We'll delete this one. We'll delete 44. We don't need this either. Oh my god, I have so much like just tests when I'm like quickly trying to iterate here. 48, yeah, fine. SQL test. We can stop the SQL test. We don't need this one anymore. Delete. So many tests. All right, that's been deleted. 24. Fun, fun, fun. Delete 25. I didn't want to see how bad it looks on my actual server because it creates filters for all this shit. I need to like come up with a better way of cleaning this stuff up. And let's delete this. And we'll delete any of the orphaned resources. And we're good to go. This has been deleted, cannot be edited. Perfect. All right, so now we only have one SQL going up. Let me see if I can get, if there's any other tests going on. Node 48, node test 50. Yeah, let's get rid of you. Client test, we'll leave that going. DB test 14. We don't need this anymore. Superbase external. I'm going to delete all these Superbase ones because I wasn't able to get Superbase up and running. And honestly, I'm just going to use MySQL anyways at this point. So at least I can just control that. This workspace is deleted, cannot be edited. Okay. Edit. Delete. All right. This workspace has been deleted. Let's delete this guy. Superbase tests. This one's been deleted. Delete. And tunnel test will keep. Superbase, that one's already being deleted. Node 49. We can delete this one. And now I think all the test stuff, node test 50, SQL test 48, fine. Docker test 28. I can delete this Docker test. I'm not doing anything with this. Foam test, fine. Superbase Docker test. We'll delete this too. All right. Let's delete all this now, and let's see. Is there any other things we should? Daily motivation, launchpad, countdown clock, client, AI for dev pages. Fine, fine, fine. What the prompt? V36. That could be deleted. Delete. Superbase 11A. Delete. Daily motivation launchpad, fine. SQL node 50 block adventure. Okay, good. We're good to go. We're good to go. Let me close this out. Actually, I'm curious. Encoder, can you add a way to set the project icon? I don't think it's going to understand the context of that. Let me come back here and see what Lovable has done for us. Based on the error logs, I can see the issue now. The system is authenticating correctly with the, but then trying to create collection using authentication. Looking at your Directus configuration, your actual database SQL test and public URLs. This means the app should authenticate, not. Let's fix the issue, ensuring that the correct API endpoint is used consistently throughout the application. All right, I'm down for that. Why did it like grow this out? Let me restart this. All right, so the real test is that we're actually on, yeah, okay, we're on 48. Let's connect, successful. And now it's created a new table and a new database. If we do this, we'll create a new note, my new note. This is my note. We can create this note, bad note, delete me. We'll create this note. Now we're going to delete this, and we're good to go. All right, so one thing I wanted to do real quick is I wanted to, can you now go through and remove and refactor the app to remove any code we are not using or is not critical to the app, how it currently functions. All right, let it clean this up, and we're good to go. So I think the only other thing I want to do real quick while this is doing its thing is I wanted to come in here and I wanted to move some of this stuff over to the Docker container, so that at least these things are somewhat more consistent. Oops, close this, close this. This is the Docker template, and this is this template. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to get the code server up and running. So let's come back here. Let's find code server. We can remove all of this stuff. And then we can remove this and put this here. And I was tempted to move over Traffic auth. I think it's already here though, is it? Code or password. Okay. This is already in here. Good. And then all this stuff here for VS Code. We don't need any of this. I'm going to delete all this provisioning stuff. We'll see if this actually works. This is 28C. Let's make this 29. Build. Publish. V29. All right, I'm finally getting to the point now where these templates, I have enough of this template stuff working that I can actually start getting them to work together, or at least share, or at least work similarly. So let me create this workspace. This will be node test 29. Node test 29. We have a password, fine. We can make it public or not. We'll create this workspace. And now this is just going to be a generic Docker container. And now if we do here, wait, what just happened here? Oh, fun. I think because I named this node test 29 instead of Docker test, like an idiot, it just loaded up an old node file. So let me delete this real quick. Template. I want to create this. This should be using v29 create. This should be Docker test 29. Responsive invalid binds. This path does not exist. Yeah, so there's something here with this provisioner where I need. Wait. Of course we did this the worst way possible. Version code. I removed that provision stuff, so it didn't actually make dynamically add metadata blocks in a numbered order. Yeah, it's weird. This one doesn't have the provisioning stuff either, but it doesn't seem to fail. I wonder if this creates a. I know what actually creates this works. What is actually creating that folder? Binder workspace, global config, Docker, workspace name DB. Oh, good. I can go backwards. All right, let's get rid of this here. And I think all I needed to do was something like this, so at least it triggers it creating a, so it creates the workspace. We don't need this either. This is garbage. This was 29. Let's build this and let's call this 30. And I'm going to duplicate this. Go here, workspace, create a new workspace, Docker test 30, and see if this actually works correctly. And then I'm going to, I think this will be a good place for me to stop. I'll mess around with this stuff for the rest of the afternoon, but then tomorrow actually I have to go to my office and set up my office. So I will do my next stream on Wednesday. All right, this worked. Let's go to code server. It installed everything, installed all the stuff correctly. We have a empty VS Code folder, and we should be good to go. All right, I am actually happy with the progress I made today. So, all right, thanks everyone for watching, and I will stream on Wednesday, I guess. Let me update my little thing here. Wednesday at 9 a.m. EST. All right. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.